Our producer has no idea what's going on. Why is there? Oh, now there is sound. He says there
Okay,
is
so
sound. The fingers went up
good,
because
okay.
I wanted Tom to be heard. But my point I'm trying to tell you is that I got sick, and all of a sudden, Tom, COVID. You got COVID. I never got COVID. Never got. I tried to get it. Went to all these weddings. You got COVID. I said, let me tell you something. I don't have COVID. I got up in the morning. I couldn't get out of bed. I don't know what happened. I'm up 4:30 every day.
Yep.
I couldn't get up. Tom even texted me. I didn't even respond.
No, you didn't,
Tom
actually.
Me and Tom talked 2, 3, 5 in the morning. Finally, I got dressed at 1:30. I walked down the steps. My wife was laughing at me because I was making her miserable. She was happy I was leaving the house, because I was just screaming, Linda. Finally, I started walking down the steps, and she came. She never follows me to the steps. And she followed me to the steps to have a good laugh. And as I almost rolled down those flights of stairs, I crawled back in the house and just laid on that couch.
So you were essentially, listen, Denzel Washington's character in Equalizer 3, after he gets shot, he's bedridden for weeks. That was basically you, Harold Tischer.
I just did the teas, the coffees. Next morning, baby, I was kicking your butt.
Well, maybe so, but we're here tonight, obviously. So
we are here tonight, and I was not going to miss this night.
Me
no
either,
me
either.
I don't care if I did have COVID, which I would never have COVID, and I do have a just enough Heshy mask, just for your knowledge. Stupid.
I've seen that too.
I
know.
I have plenty of shots.
Oh, no. Okay, we're going to talk about that now. By the way, we are going to we're being joined right now in a moment. But in case anybody wants to call into the show, what number do they call?
We got two actually. I want to pass out there. Our usual number 646-974-1580, and then 646-793-0382. So those are the numbers here. Give us a call. Join the conversation. 646-974-1580. 646-793-0382.
You can ask the Colonel anything. He's not scared. I promise you. After what he's gone through, we have not scared. And also, he's running for public office, so he's not the brightest guy on the planet. Hey, I shouldn't be talking. I'm sitting.
Well, you're going to council first.
I know that.
You're going to the council
I'm
first.
a big idiot. I've done it 3 times. We'd like to welcome all the listeners from which stations?
Absolutely. Glad you said that. 620 AM WSNR, my personal favorite, by the way, 1640 WJPR, and can never forget about 93.5 FM WVIP, like VIP, the old Pamela Anderson
We'd
show.
like to welcome all of our audience, and we have Colonel Tom Sullivan with us, who's running for the Assembly 23rd District, and we're going to start our show. But I'm going to give a quick shout out to my favorite Sergeant Peter. I love him. He's a man. He's also Ellie, my boy, and my granddaughter Mira Nava.
The best part of the show, Mira Nava.
And I want you to know I'm smarter than the rest of you because I've raised all these children, so I know how to raise children. So on the holiday of Yom Kippur, my son brought over this 4-year-old and this 2-year-old that I thought that I can control. Let me tell you something, man. I want no more children in my house ever again. Never, Tom. Tom, do not bring any children to my house.
I will check that off right now.
I'm still digging crumbs out of places that I don't know how these kids got it. I forgot what my kids did. And toys.
So that's when you were a kid,
I know that, but I was a good kid. I used to throw, my kids used to have these Legos, these little things. And my wife kept buying hundreds of them, and I kept stepping on them and putting them in garbage bags and throwing them away, and somehow they kept coming back. I don't know what happened in Yom Kippur, but
big age.
This Tom is guys. Tom is just wonderful.
He knows his constituents. That's what it is.
Also, I would like to shout out to Yeshua, Leila Tamar, and of course, I want to wish all of you people happy Sukkot that's coming.
Absolutely.
And as you know, if you need a place to eat, pop on over or text me, and we'll ship you a box. A lot of people have been doing, and we just want you to know, I'm running to the airport tonight.
Yes.
My son Yaakov is coming home from Israel, and he's going to be spending Sukkot with me, and I'm looking for a wife for him. If you know any nice girls, we're looking for someone.
He's got Far Rockaway in his district.
Tom,
he could
Tom,
certainly make a call, and he won Far Rockaway
I have
last
no
time.
problem with a Queens girl, but I want some money this time. Somebody's got to pay for that wedding. I'm broke. Anyways, here we go. And also, I went to the engagement of my niece last week.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people came. It was very nice. Beautiful girl, double masters. Finally, I found her a boy. He had a full head of hair. He was skinny, so she was happy.
Okay. A lot of good news for the
Good news first.
We're going to start the show, but I want to give you a quote. And this quote I made for Tom.
For the Colonel, yes.
For the Colonel, I'm sorry.
You're welcome.
To get over the past, you first have to accept that the past is over, no matter how many times you revisit it, analyze it, regret it, or sweat it. It's over. It can't hurt you no more. And this is a man who served our country in the past,
Absolutely.
who's gone through a lot of stuff, who's seen a lot of stuff, and now he's ready for the future. Here's the man who's gone through a past that realizes the future is coming. And Colonel, and I'm going to keep calling you that, or Tom, whatever you want us to call you, because I'm playing Heshy. I'm nobody important sitting next to you.
My father couldn't get the 7 boys right, so I don't expect anybody else.
You've served our country. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Because you know what you're undertaking now is not harder than what you did, but we are going to hurt you. That maybe mentally you're just not ready. Because I go to a lot of funerals, I go visit people. Are you ready for us to just nonstop crying?
So that's a great intro. Appreciate
But
that.
I'm going to say my joke first.
Okay, go
A
ahead.
quick joke. And this is a true joke, happened to be. I was on the train from New York to Washington. I really went to Washington. And as we were on the train, of course, you know, the train's engine fell silent and the conductor comes on. I've got good news and bad news. I couldn't believe when we heard this. He said, the bad news is we lost power. Train was stuck and we all booed, you know what I mean? And he says, the good news is we weren't cruising at 30,000 feet. And we all laughed, you know, it was okay, maybe it was true. Just get us off the train. Tom, we're going to start the show with you. You've gone through, you live in New York City.
Yep.
Okay? You've gone through, like you said, the COVID shots. You know they're going to bring it back. We're not going to allow it this time. You know they're closing my stores of the, you know, Targets. They're closing a Target in Harlem.
Yep.
The most
117th
important,
Street.
the most important one that we need, because for those
The
people,
most important one, the people in that neighborhood need.
okay, see,
jobs.
and not only that, Tom, you see the crime that's going on here. You see that the police are being held back. You are a man of experience. I don't know what you're going to do for us because the money, the billions and billions. I don't know if you saw my videotape with the migrants sneaking in. Now, forget that we're 12 billion in the hole. We're going to be 15 billion in the hole. And you, as the assembly member, you, not me, because I'm going to go into city council. You are responsible now in that state budget to find us this money, and you better find it because we don't know what we're doing because we're lost.
So that's a perfect lead in, and I appreciate that.
Are you going to tell us who you are?
Yeah, I will in a half a second.
Good.
So my personal political philosophy is that before you go out into your community and ask to be their representative, you in some capacity have to have walked in their shoes in some way. Fireman, policeman, sanitation, teacher, you name it, military, financial, lawyer, whatever it is. Go out there and learn what it's like to be out there before you go and pretend like you know what everybody else needs. And we have too many of them that don't have that experience. So a little bit about myself. I've been in the financial industry for 30 years now.
You're also a restaurant owner?
Yep, for 10 years, I owned a restaurant out in Long Island.
So he knows how to talk to
And
the
did
people.
your family
Those
have a
those.
big, well-known restaurant here on Nostrand Avenue of Avenue U called Brennan and Carr?
That's
Oh,
right,
wow,
1938. So, and I still do I do.
By the way, I liked it more than Roll and Roast. I was
well,
never.
thank you for saying
I have
that,
to
yeah.
say, Roll and Roast, I thought was so overrated. I know two of my buddies are in the chat, Josh Bailey and Anthony Finkel, probably going to kill me for saying that, but I always thought Brennan and Carr kicked Roll and Roaster's butt.
So I
Good.
worked there when I was 14, and my father always said, if somebody comes in and they ask what you're doing, just tell them that somebody got sick and you just came in for a few minutes. So I started there when I was working at 14, as did all 7 of my brothers. 2 of them still work there and been there for 40 years. At this point in the business, I do things like the insurance,
Sure.
the licenses. I work with the accountant. I do the pay the bills on a weekly basis, etc. So
You're an experienced businessman who will know how to do budgets, who knows how to take care of people, who knows how to have an employee and personnel. When our mayor, I don't know if you like him, and I'm going to argue with other people that are going to show up at your party. But the point is you are a man that understands budgets and running a city. Well, these guys don't know what's going, and they just take and take.
well, that's where I was getting at, right? So I have that experience as a small business owner, and now helping get an 84-year-old family business to another generation. And as you introduced me as Colonel Sullivan, I spent 30 years in the military, and I spent 4.5 years away from my family in those 4 years. In those 30 years, I spent 4.5 years away from my family in places like Iraq, Kuwait, Afghanistan.
Yeah, but Colonel, you also had people under your watch, people that had personal issues, people that you had to command, people that had breakdowns, people that had you had so much of a variety of those people in those 30 years. That alone as a leader and a commander gives you the power to come in and lead us.
You know,
I'm sorry, guide us.
Yeah, I mean, I was, what was I, like 28 when I was in Iraq, company commander. About about $8.6 million worth of equipment.
Wow.
More importantly, 186 soldiers under my care. And unfortunately, about 43 days into that tour in Iraq, we lost a soldier from Queens, from the Bronx.
Wow.
The unit was from Queens there in Flushing, Sergeant Jose Velez.
Oh, wow.
Boy, I tell you, you grow up fast. To see the hurt and to feel the hurt, and not only for the family, but our family was out there at that time. His family was out there at that time.
You see, this is what we need. Not only leaders, but we need people with compassion to understand, to change the laws. Some of these laws are so stupid and strict that we don't understand how to have compassion for the people. But then again, we allow people to rob and rape and kill us, and then we don't know what to do about it. We go after the easy crimes. I want to ask you a stupid question, and we're going to go a little bit off topic. I don't know. I like Trump. What's your answer?
I like him too. I think he did I think his policies on the economy, foreign relations, domestic issues like the border.
Do we give him another chance? Do we give him another chance, or you want Biden to keep going?
No, I just think, he's just got too abrasive.
Okay.
I understood him because I'm a Queens boy, right? I knew him.
No, you're a New Yorker boy. You're one of us.
I understand him. He's Donald J. Trump, right? So I get it, but most of America probably didn't get it. And a lot of those people in the middle that are undecided or truly independent, that's a turnoff to them.
Are you happy with the way things are going?
Oh, not at all.
Thank you.
At all.
Especially where you guys met up not too long ago, which
Right.
has really been the number one topic in Floyd Bennett Field.
Can you tell us
shares
why?
both Brooklyn and Queens. Let's talk about that.
I want to ask you.
You talk
You're a migrant. You were there, and the migrant is. Again, you're gonna think I'm mean, but the point is, you're putting migrants. You were there with me at Floyd Bennett Field. No bathrooms, no showers. You're gonna have disease. We're gonna make these fake stuff. You were there. People don't want it. Our people don't want it. Don't you have to listen to our people?
Well, here's what I would tell you. You heard me that night.
Yep.
America, and I've witnessed this firsthand, folks, is the most generous with its resources.
Amen.
We're blessed
Amen.
to have the financial resources, the natural resources, our form of government, the people. We're compassionate. We've assisted and aided in every earthquake and natural disaster. We don't always get it right, but I do believe we always entered some of these conflicts with the best of intentions to stabilize the world because we have that ability. The world has looked for us to be that leader. So my point is, for these, even America does not have the capacity to handle the immigration at the rate it's coming in. And I just, whether it's at the dining room table with the family or with neighbors, I saw this coming years ago. There's always a breaking point, and we've passed that breaking point. And now we're bringing people in. And I said, putting them 7,000 people in a tent out on a national park, which is a whole other story.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. Is not compassionate.
But what about the other 80,000?
We are setting them up for failure.
And what about the other 80,000 that we have spread around?
On the streets?
On the
In
streets.
a hotel room?
I think 5,000 we gained the last week alone.
I traveled a lot with the military. I travel with work. Sometimes I'm in, very nice quarters. I got a TV. I got a refrigerator. I got a roof over my head. But if I'm in a room too long, it's not
Right.
You know, you even
You
if
got
it's
to
a
make
nice
it your own
hotel
place.
room.
I know, but they're also going to filthy it up. And as you see, a lot of these people that if you saw my report today,
Yep.
a lot of them are criminals with tattoos on their faces and hands. You know that they're coming from jail. You know they're coming in here, and there's more crime that's going to, I mean, as it is. But Mr. State Assembly that you're going to be, you now control this governor. Can't you stop it? Can't you spread the people?
We've taken a little bit. Look, they're coming from 150 countries.
Correct.
And they're
All
coming,
here.
And they're coming because we are the greatest country in the world.
Okay.
I get that part, but they're not. It's not all so bad where they're all leaving the places. At least take an opportunity to, change your country for the better, like we did, a couple hundred years ago.
It's too late now. You have them here, but you're
So they're
shoving
here.
them into New York City. We can't take them.
Yeah,
we
so
can't.
I listened to the council, some of the council members that we talked about
Yeah,
prior to the
idiots.
show appeared today in Washington, and one local one I won't name was asked a question by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You'll probably be able to put it together.
Yeah.
Said, "Oh, you come here to make all complaints, but what solutions do you have?" And that individual was not prepared. And I could tell you sitting here right away, number one, close the border, right? Number two,
Which you won't let.
deport the immediate threats that you had just mentioned, known criminals. Start deportations
Right, background
immediately.
checks, absolutely.
They're not vetting.
No.
I understand vetting the ones that
they're
you
not
catch,
vetting.
but they're
They're
not
not
vetting the
They're
ones
not
that
vetting.
are 11. What is it?
Do you
11,000
know
a
what I
day.
have to do in the military when they vet me? Do you know what I go through in my job?
What do you have to do? Tell us for the audience.
What I have to go through with my job. Do you know what the state assembly wants you to vet you as a candidate? They want to know every bank account.
Right.
They want to
Every
know
stock.
if I've committed any crimes, any financial information, all the personal information. They want to know it. How are they vetting these people?
Nothing.
I got to fill out 42 pages for
Because you're a challenger
to
running against an
file-
incumbent, and they
to
know the
file for
system. Well,
that.
that's an easy answer for your point for the assembly.
to file for a food license in New York City. Forget it.
Well, but everything you just said though hits the nail on the head, because it's all about the people who
Yeah.
are in the system to stay in the system. But going back to your district, what are some
Well,
of the
wait a minute,
other...
can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Tom, Colonel, your website.
SullivanForAssembly.com.
I was going to have him say that, but okay, no problem. Sullivan, how you spell that? I mean, can you?
SULLIVN for FOR Assembly.com, and I'll type it in the chat.
Good boy, good. Thank you so much.
you.
And we could use a donation anytime, right?
Anytime. So I have a campaign that I call 10 for Tom. It obviously it's a little catchy, right? 10 for Tom. And it first started with 10 emails, 10 phone calls, 10 text messages. The people kept asking, what can I do to help? And a lot of people don't want to stand on a street corner with a sign, Tom Sullivan for Assembly. That's
how I found you.
I don't even
Somebody
like
was holding that sign over there by there.
That's right.
They held that sign the whole time. The guy didn't move for an inch, and I
Gotta
knew
love
it.
the people
I
from
know,
Breezy Point,
I know,
Heshy.
I know.
They're devoted
I
people.
drive around with my van with the Tom Sullivan for Assembly with the speakers on top.
Oh yeah, I got to do that. No problem. Very good. Well, your election is not till next year.
That's correct.
And
But we're starting early.
Good.
We're getting organized.
You got to start early to win
Yeah,
this race against the incumbent. You got to start now. But going off that, we know the migrants is obviously going to be the dominant issue for a while. But in your district, which is a very unique district, which has got, again, neighborhoods like Howard Beach, Ozone Park, parts of South Ozone Park, Far Rockaway, Broad Channel, and other areas, what are some other issues that are important to you in your campaign?
So, that's a phenomenal question. And I think our district is such a model for many other districts.
Absolutely.
Here's why. We don't ask for much. We really don't. Right? I believe in a small government. Why? Because the government doesn't have the capacity. And if you fail the people, you take on all these responsibilities. And if you fail, they got one person to blame, and that's the government. And then you'll lose that patriotism, that luster of everything that America's great about, the independence. But So what do we want out in our district?
No, you're going in when you win your election. You're going in as a conservative Republican.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to ask you the question straight out. You know that the Democrats, and what's your terminology for them? They don't have the majority. They have a supermajority.
They have a supermajority
which
currently.
means basically they're going to laugh at you when you wake up and talk to them.
Correct. That's a challenge. But look, one bite at the elephant at a time,
Good.
right?
I agree.
One district
I
at
agree.
a time.
Exactly.
You know, I didn't get much attention even from the Republican Party during the race because no Republican has held that district for that seat.
Well, I think a Republican hasn't won an assembly seat in Queens since 1996. That was Northeast Queens. And you guys haven't had even a state legislator since Frank Padovan, which was 2010.
Right,
So,
but in this
you are
district
good.
specifically, it's 56 years.
Yeah.
Plus, well, that's the history of it as it's currently.
I mean, there's been numerous redistricting, so who knows what these,
Well, I know the Colonel's
long
going to
time.
win. The Colonel, you've got to win this. I'm going to be here for you. I know any help that I can give you, I'm going to be there for you. And
Well, thank you.
And if I win the city council, you will have so much support coming from my side there. But I hear by next year you'll be having matching funds, right?
So yeah, there's we were talking about this a little
Off the
bit
air,
before the show. You know, there's a law, a bill in front of the governor now. Whether or not she's going to approve it, we may not see those funds until June, July
Of 2024.
of 2024.
But you still will get the money.
she has to.
That's what they're
she hasn't
saying.
signed the bill yet. There's 400. So currently, just so our audience knows, there's over 400 bills currently
Wow.
that the governor has not signed for a number of reasons.
Because she's busy with...
She's busy trying to go on national TV and say that she's doing
it's
all
not
these
the
different
border.
things. Right. So she has until the end of the year to decide what she wants
You know
to
how
do
many
with all these
documents
bills.
I sign a day? You know how many
10
contracts
million
I look
probably,
over?
Heshy.
Right. I mean, both of us do with insurances and stuff. I understand she has the state budget. But God's sakes, man, get your act together. That's why she's the governor. I don't know. You know, Colonel, we have a lot of crime in this neighborhood. I mean, not in this neighborhood, but a lot of crime in New York City. And as you know, people want to defund our police, defund the police. Our mayor now is taking away 15% of our police, sanitation, and fire department. Why?
And who knows what that could be only just the beginning.
That's
Because
only
again,
the
this
beginning.
problem is not going to get any better anytime
Yeah,
soon.
this
you
whole
represent
defund
you
the
represent
police.
all of us, not only Queens. What are you going to do about it? You can't allow this.
As the son of a New York City detective, a brother of a Secret Service
Wow.
agent, the brother of a
I love this
inspector
guy.
of the
I love
Florida
it.
Are you
Authority,
sure you're running
a
for
brother on
assembly?
the NYPD, a brother who's on the FDNY. Three of us have served in the military. One did 30 years himself. The other one did 8 years and went into the Secret Service. So I've been around law enforcement my entire life. I grew up to respect not just the police department as a whole, but each individual police officer that went out there each and every day, and the risks that they take on a daily basis of all the things that could possibly go wrong. This whole defund the police was a horrible, horrible social experiment gone bad.
And it's happened in other cities
And
now. In
it's-
fact, other cities have now had to backtrack. I just read today San Francisco's now backtracking because it's been such an abomination.
You know,
and we
it
started
would be
here.
one thing if they could clearly explain themselves why they wanted to do this, but it was the hatred. There was so much hatred that
so
they
I have
created
an
for law
idea.
enforcement, which will take a generation
But
to fix.
their objective is, which is stupid, is let's cut the firemen, policemen, and all these good services so we can save money on the budget. That's supposedly the idea.
When we know that that's such
But,
a
and I'm going to tell you
heresy.
why it's a lie. You know, we have a hospital here that I've been fighting for years, and I volunteered.
At least you have one. We lost our hospital
Yes.
on
So
the
we have a
peninsula.
hospital
At
that
least you
is
have one.
called Maimonides Hospital.
And give us a call at 646-974-1580.
Oh, we have a
by the
phone
way.
call. We'll take that in a minute. But we have a hospital, Maimonides Hospital, that lost $145 million. You understand? We had to bail them out of $145 million. The president or the chairman of the board this week purchased the building next door to us, next door to the hospital for $14.5 million.
Oh, what a shock.
We don't have money and you're buying more property? For what? We know there's a game here that you can sell it in the future and make a profit and pocket all that money. That's my point. Nobody's looking into this. There's no oversight in this city. There's no oversight in the state. And guys like you are needed to buckle down, to scream and holler. And I'm tired
Especially
of
in
this.
the assembly, because
Yeah.
in New York City, we have very few assembly members, Republicans included, who do anything. I mean, it's Democrat dominated, but even the Republicans in the assembly, they're not fighting. They're not active enough.
Right,
There's
they
a
walk
handful
around, do
of them.
nothing.
Yeah.
Let's take a phone call. Who's on the phone? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I think is this Anthony Finkel here on the line?
Hey, Heshy, Tom,
Hi.
Colonel, how are you? Good evening. Good show tonight, guys.
How you doing,
Thank you.
Anthony?
How you doing,
What's on
Anthony?
your mind, my friend?
I just wanted to make a quick comment because you were just talking about a lot of the issues going on in New York City. So I wanted to make a quick comment about just quality of life issues. One thing, mainly the overuse and smell of marijuana ever since it's been legalized. And mind you, I'm a person who leans friendly towards marijuana use, but you see people going to school in the morning. I saw this the other morning, this guy walking down into the subway station, hopped the turnstile, lit up a joint in front of a mother trying to bring her son to school in the morning. That and public urination. So, Colonel, I just wanted to get your opinion on what are some things that, what is your view on the quality of life issues in New York City?
Thank you, Anthony. And I want to add to that. I want your opinion on drugs. I'm tired. I don't agree with marijuana. I don't care if you do, and I know Anthony does, but I hate drugs. I hate all kinds of drugs, and I want your opinion because my children are dying in the street. I see it. I can't take it. I'm going to funerals. I'm tired of it, and they're overdosing. You're right. Marijuana is nothing, Heshy. No, you're wrong, and I do smell it. As I walk down the street, I smell it all over. Something's with you. I just say, hey, Tom, you smell it? It just doesn't make
It's
sense.
everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
You know, it's taken us decades to take on the drinking and driving, and
Runs against drunk driving.
right,
Sure.
the health issues with that, and I get it. It's hard to reverse that, to take away things like alcohol and cigarettes. But I think most people would believe that there's harm being done, not only to the person's body. Marijuana is intrusive because of the smell. It's even worse when it's raining out. It's not good for you, healthy, especially for young people who are still brains in development into their early 20s.
That's what I say.
I think we're heading in the wrong direction. I do not approve of legalizing it, but I also am not for putting somebody away in Rikers Island.
I'm not asking you to do that.
Right.
What I'm saying to you is like this. Listen, you have your marijuana. Go ahead, grow your 2 plants in your house, smoke it in your house, but it can't be sold on the corner.
Yeah, but in
Can't
New
be
York,
sold
they did
anywhere.
it for the reason that we all know. It's about money.
So let me tell you
Again,
something. Here's why I'm so dead
stupid.
against it. Okay,
Tell us what you think.
I went to the United States Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and by the way, we studied things like the pandemic and mass migrations. We didn't talk about moving this tank to that tank, right? We talked about big world issues. Marijuana, the money creates huge for the cartels, and funding from marijuana. Buys fentanyl, buys cocaine, buys machine guns.
I told you.
That
You
come
did.
across
You
this
did.
border, that kill our kids and families every single day.
Wow.
So marijuana looks harmless and simple. You're standing there on a street corner. It is a huge strategic problem for the United States to get their hands about, because it's about the money, the
Thank you,
drug
Colonel.
money. It filters down, which ultimately is a quality of life issue.
And one of our listeners here, avid listeners, Josh Bailey from nearby here in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, so fired up from you tonight. He's saying that you should run for president, maybe. He said you got to win this assembly race
Well,
first.
if I was in
Win
South
December.
Carolina, I'd be able to at least run for Congress.
Let's win the assembly race first, Josh
Here
Bailey.
in
Right.
Queens, I can't get dog catching.
Well, you got enough to contend with in Queens, but let's
but
win
quality
the
of
assembly
life
race.
is so important. Most people, right? They don't think about politics every day. Heshy and I do.
Yes.
Because we're concerned citizens who want to get involved, use our talents to go out there and improve the quality of life
Yes.
of people. And that means not walking down the street and smelling something, stepping over somebody who's passed out drunk.
Oh, I saw it the other day,
street.
last week in our district on the N train. I get off on the highway, High Lawn Avenue side off from off Bay Parkway. And this guy actually was 2 days in a row. He was sitting idle. He was passed out.
Right.
Same day, different day.
I
Same
have
thing.
I have my regulars. I have a few homeless people stationed. I'm sorry to say, around my neighborhood and the parks. Now somebody tells me that one of my regulars that I lost, that we don't see anymore, because we always try to give him a few dollars or a coat or whatever. He's now handing out by the Atlantic Avenue station. He says, Heshy, this is one of your guys. I've seen him on your videos. I mean, we don't know how to take care of what we have, the problems, and we need.
And these are the people that aren't getting help because of the migrants.
Because of the migrants.
Because of the
And the
migrants.
veterans, your
And the
veterans.
veterans, good point,
Your
good point.
veterans, which is the most important. These are the people that have served our nation, that deserve everything, that have lost limbs, that have PTSD, that deserve everything, that have lost their families. I'm so happy you didn't lose your family. You only lost them you were away from them. That was a proper, good term that you used.
Yes.
And I know how hard that is, just to be away for a few months, let alone for so many years. I applaud you, and I'm telling you, I know you have so many places. What bills do you have? I know when I get into office right away, my first thing is to go after the Department of Buildings, the housing protection. I'm going to cut that budget. I have a way to slash New York City budget by $4 billion. And as a pro, I'm going to do that. I want to know when you walk in there, okay, we're going to laugh at you, whatever. But I want to know when you stand up there, what ideas, what legislation are you ready to
All
pass?
right, let me take a back step to this, because one of my biggest pet peeves is when I go to these civic meetings throughout Queens.
Yeah.
And the elected officials come in and they say, I passed this bill, that bill,
right.
this law, that law.
Because they go in there in
right,
front of their people that they put on the community board, the
how
civic
about
association.
this? How about this? Enforce the laws we have in place. Stop taking on more responsibilities than you could possibly handle as a government, right? Because that's what we fall into that trap, right? I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that. And then I'm going to be the great provider somehow to all these people. And
It's the line that John Gambling used to always say. Every politician shows up to what you said, whether it's community board 6 in your area or whatever, Juniper Park Civic, whatever else, fill in the blank.
So
they want to kick the curb down the road for the next person because they don't want to do nothing
That's
now.
correct. So I will stand the line. I will. When I feel good that all the laws that are in place already,
Wow,
because we are
exactly
not
right.
enforcing the laws
I
in
want
place
one.
already.
One repeal though is bail reform. That's the one you should try to.
well, no, look, that's on all my literature.
I know that, but for the audience, we want to know.
If I'm not mistaken, we're the only city in the United States where our police officers have lost their qualified immunity.
Yep.
And people don't understand. That doesn't mean a police officer go around doing whatever they want.
No.
Right? That's if in the normal line of their duties, they follow their training, they follow the law, and they're protected. Right now, they are not protected. Even if they do everything right, they could be personally accountable, liable for, criminally and personally.
And if you like what you hear from Tom Sullivan, 2 things. Give us a call, 646-974-1580, 646-793-0382.
Tom
Check his
Sullivan
website.
for what?
Sullivan for Assembly. That's SU2LSIVAN for Assembly.com. Just like Robert McCall's character in Equalizer 3, the 2 L's. Sullivan, I'm a big movie buff. Sullivan for Assembly.com.
I still haven't gone to Equalizer.
I saw Expendables, by the way. You could have probably played a role in that movie, but it wasn't so great of a movie, though. But obviously, give us a call. Talk to Tom. But Tom, I was wondering for the audience, because like Heshy, you lost a race in 22 that was a heartbreaker, and it was a race that, like us, you won on Election Day, and you lost in that race. So for the audience here, coming off a race like that, how are you using that to propel you this time to get over the finish line?
I'd like to know.
Yeah, so my simple answer is win by more votes.
Well,
I
think he knew we were going to ask that.
I think he should be. I think
work harder, work harder, win by more votes, go to more meetings, go knock on more doors.
But you have a regular life too.
I do.
I mean,
But I'm committed. I'm committed.
So I'm committed
But he has
too.
no. We have as a challenger. You have no choice though, because the
But
incumbents
you
game the
can't
system.
stop doing the goodness. And I had today. I want to just tell you something. On Yom Kippur, we have before the Yom Kippur holiday ends, there is a certain prayer that all the Jews have to be ready to cry, because that prayer, they say, God comes out and listens to you. Whatever you ask for, you get. And the honor, usually they give out the honor, they sell this honor of this prayer to one particular person. Of course, we all pray at the same time, but the honor of like opening this, the Torah portion, whatever, it's an honor of standing in a particular position. And whatever you ask for, you're supposed to get.
I just wanted to be treated with respect.
But I just want to tell you, when I was given this honor, and a man comes over to me and says to me, Heshy, I haven't had children in 15 years. Can I switch places with you? I said, sure. My point to you is I wanted to stand there. I'm sure I wanted to ask for the election or $1 billion, whatever. Your and I responsibility is to our daily lives. We can't stop looking and listening to the people. Yeah, I go to the meetings, I put in my 18 hours and stuff, but I can't stop doing what I'm doing. Then I'm worthless. Then running for office is not worth my time.
But his answer is telling, because in that moment that Colonel Sullivan was in, where he's in the lead, he won an election day. You won the vote in election day.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
We don't know how they did it.
He could have easily given up, but he said, you know what? I'm coming right back, and I'm going to win. And his quote was during that process, you know what? My opponent's going to feel the same way, so he has no choice but to come back. And he's done that. So this is where you test a person's character. You test their person's character from what they come from when they're down, not from when they're ahead and they win. And that shows why people need to go to SullivanForAssembly.com. Also, give us a call if you want to talk to Tom, 646-974-1580, 646-793-0382. And talk to the man himself. Maybe get involved. You want to help and knock on some doors for him, text message.
Can I go a little bit off topic now?
You're Harold Heshy. You have to go off
You
topic.
understand that we have a senator in Jersey.
I'm coming back to that point.
You
Go
are
ahead.
okay. Oh, you can go back. Senator Menendez.
Yes, I heard of him. Bob, right?
Bob, right. Arrested again. Again.
Is that news?
He didn't learn the first time he got away with it. Found with $500,000 in gold and stuff. Why? And Colonel, you've struck, as a colonel, your salaries are crap. We screw you left and right. The temptation, I'm not saying that you will be tempted. It looks like a lot of these people are tempted or getting kickbacks, or that we know that they're getting money under the table. We know Republican leaders are getting friendly favors. We know things are happening that we can't even know. What will hold you back? What is it? Why don't you have a temptation of maybe once you get into office? They say once we get into office, we become like them. Are we going to be able to hold ourselves as a man of God, as a man of? Go ahead.
So there's a lot of things that would help you to fall prey to that temptation, right? Temptation is as old as
Absolutely. As the Bible, yep.
As the Bible, right? My mother and father taught me better. My grandmother taught me better than that. My brothers taught me better than that. The Army has taught me better than that, right? We got a set of values in the Army. It gets ingrained into you. Term limits would help if you want to get specific.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I feel like, listen, our local state senator here has been in power for 20 plus years. And a person today,
40 years, you become entitled. And listen,
and
some people don't even need 40 years. 4 years, they feel like they're owed that money.
Her mother was in office in your seat for 20 plus years, and then her cousin was in office. This is a problem. Right. This is what politics.
And when they do give up their seat, they give it up to one of their people that they can control. Now, I'm not going to knock your friend Dov Hyken, who was my friend at one point, but then he switched sides. I don't know what's wrong with him. I guess money. My point is when you retire from politics, you retire. Get out. That's it. You're done. You have no right to influence. You have no right to be part of another campaign. You want to have a job, that's fine. But a lot of these guys are using their power brokerage, and I'm not happy about it. Like you said, you did your 4 years, you did your 8 years, have a good life, go on your merry way. 10 years at the most,
If the president's 8 years, the mayor of the city of New York is 8 years, why do our local legislators need to be there for 40, 50 years? Your opponent, her mother was the assemblywoman before that, her family's all connected in different positions. That's wrong. In the Constitution institution it was supposed to be. You helped the community for a few years, you moved on. But too many people in Queens and Brooklyn and elsewhere, Staten Island, Manhattan, the Bronx, elsewhere, have made this a career. It's not supposed to be that. Tell us about that, Colonel.
Well, even good people is what I was about to say. Even good people can be corrupted.
Absolutely.
And it's the money. It's the power that maybe they never had. They didn't have the fulfillment in their life. I've had that, right? I've been in charge. I've had tons of responsibility.
Absolutely. It's
not about the power. It's about service to the community. And I've said this openly, and people cringe all the time that, if I'm blessed to be elected to the state assembly, I'd probably do, 3 terms, 6 years, 4 terms. And unless I'm in line for a significant promotion to do bigger and better things,
sure.
Right? Then it's time for somebody new and younger and with fresher ideas to come in, and I would humbly step aside. This is not my plan to be here forever because I don't believe in that our system supports that. Our system was designed for people to come out of the fields, come out of the factories, come out of the communities, do their service, and go back to doing what they were doing.
And give other people a chance. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in Howard Beach, if you're in Bell Harbor, Nespit, South Ozone Park, Far Rockaway, Broad Channel, all these great neighborhoods, you now need to help this man, give him a vote, support him any way you can, because he's back and he came this close, but this time he's going to finish the job. So definitely make sure you get out there to Sullivan.
And you forgot about me, HeshyTishler.com, November 7th.
5318 16th
But don't forget Tom, tell them to come out to vote for you on November 7th.
I do need your listeners to understand one thing about my election, okay?
Yeah.
We have the best political process, as flawed as it seems sometimes, right?
It's funny you say that, though, but go ahead.
We have the best process in the world, okay? My election, we were up by a nice margin.
246 votes, right?
268, something like that, yep. And it took 54 days, 4 court appearances, and they purposely pushed it out to January 3rd, so that if they did not come up with the eventual 15 votes that they won by after 54 days and 4 court appearances, the Senate and the Assembly could vote and refuse to seat me and push it for a special election 6 months later.
Wow.
That is very, to put it politely to your listeners, it was very disheartening personally, very discouraging for the system that I fought for and believe in, and still believe in to an extent, to be a victim of that.
Yeah.
And that has to be a lesson.
Heshy won on election day. It's the same thing happened
and
to
not only
Heshy.
that, I have the signatures, and they sued me in court for $80,000 just to knock me off the ballot. And it's the point is they make you so miserable that when you use up all your funds, you don't have funds to go
and they did that
run an election.
To you guys, because you guys were running against established incumbents, and the established incumbents.
But it wasn't even the incumbents; it was the party itself that didn't cooperate, which wasn't fair. Their job is why we put the people in party in power.
That's for the second half hour.
But the party's there to make sure that the game is fair.
Correct.
And they're not
But
letting
politics,
a fair get.
what we've learned and what Colonel Sullivan said, which is why I brought this up again, is that politics should not be a career. It should be you come in for views, because what happens is the people in politics, they're not interested in making it a fair playing field. They're about keeping themselves in power and keeping the status quo.
We're going to be challenging the Republican Brooklyn committee leader anyways.
And Harold Tischler, you're on the ballot also November the 7th, by the way.
By the way, you know I'm a county committee member. I have been elected to that, so I will be voting against Ted Gore, just for your knowledge.
Oh, okay.
I have a question for you.
All right.
America's great. You're the best. Everything is running smooth. You and I know we have a big problem looming ahead of us. And we better be ready. In 2 days, your government is going to shut down. New York City does not continue. Okay, government agencies don't. I mean, are they crazy? I mean, Colonel, are we crazy? We can't control ourselves. Does that include the city
council, though? Will they shut down? Hopefully.
The point is, we do get a lot of government. It's not the city council itself.
I know,
but a lot of the agencies, the federal agencies that we, the city, use to run the city, from collecting money for rents, for a whole bunch of private sanitation stuff. A lot of government agencies that help with DEP and help with to help the other agencies collect their paperwork will be shut down. How does the government shut down?
So it's irresponsible that we're even at this point. Those conversations need to be should have been had months ago. Sometimes I think it's another political football that either party, both parties, want to bring, and they want to bring it to the
I got you.
to
So
the last
so you're
quarter.
making all 300 million people suffer?
Exactly. And you're disenfranchising the voters. And you're disenfranchising people. This is why I don't go out to vote. This is why I hate Republicans. This is why I hate Democrats. They are so divisive, and that's, that's the worst thing you could do is divide this country and try to split it in half.
So there is conspiracies.
I think there's gamemanship with a very important issue, right? It's not. It's a big topic.
We're
and a government shutdown has huge implications.
We're seeing it on Wall Street. You worked on Wall Street. Now, the market the last 10 days is basically every time we go through this, the market gets all
jittery.
Yeah,
right?
that's what's happening. I'm watching my mutual fund, and I'm like,
learned this 30-something years ago.
Why'd you bring that up? I hate you.
Because it's so
when
good.
I got involved in the markets, a very older, wiser person told me fear and greed move the markets, I've become a fundamentalist where I do believe ratios do matter, but when you have something like somebody coming out there telling you that there's going to be no money on by Saturday, then that hurts the market, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I want to ask you now a personal question. We joked about in the beginning of the show about
shame on them all.
Yeah, we joked about in the beginning of the show about COVID and masks and all that. What happens? They come back and they say COVID is here. I want to know what you are going to do I'm going to stop it. I'm not going to allow it. In my community, I'm not going to let, not even one store, I'm not going to let one park.
I saw a sign today right by your office with the mask. I saw it right by here.
I want to know you.
Infuriating. Again, I use the analogy of the political football, whether it's the border, whether it's the budget, they're going to use this COVID as... They're going to sit there. How can this benefit me? How can this get more Democrats elected? How can this get more Republicans elected?
I hope you're going to be shouting and screaming.
And it's brutal because you had families, don't come to my house.
Yeah.
You had families fighting and thinking, why did you come to the house? Grandma was sick and you still come to my house and you don't have a shot. Get out of my house. Unbelievable what they did, the irresponsible. And I'll tell you, for all those people, and I'm talking about the people in power, the people with authority, the people, whether it's the media or elected officials, you got people afraid, you got people angry, you cause families.
How do you stop that? I want to stop that.
Speak the truth. Speak the truth.
How are we going to get the message
outright, there were lies.
Yeah.
There were lies. It's okay.
Thank you.
So the pandemic, I told you before, I had studies in pandemics and migrations and things like that, global. And when you don't have the courage, when you don't have the integrity to go, we don't know exactly what we're dealing with yet. This is some of the recommendations we would like you to proceed. I can respect that. But when you tell me an outright lie for your benefit or your party's benefit, and you start dividing America, put those people over here, the anti-vaxxers and the vaxxers, because there are people who genuinely are afraid of getting vaccines. There are people of faith that don't believe in putting foreign bodies into their own body.
There are people to this day, I still walk by, and there are people that pull up their masks. To this day, we're 3.5 years past COVID. To this day.
So look, I'm not happy. I've been in the Army for 30 years, and I got anthrax and typhoid and malaria. I got more injections. I wasn't happy about all of them.
Sure.
But, that's a little different. 30 years ago, I volunteered for the Army. By the way, that's the only time you volunteer. After everything that, you do what you're told. Yeah. And they did it to soldiers.
Where do you see America in the next 12 to 24 months. I'm not looking 5 years down the line because I know we're all going electric, which is stupid. Because one minute you have Biden fighting for the car people that are making cars,
protest, yeah.
right? And then you want the electric cars, so you're going to put them all out of work. Where do you see America, and not only America, our state, in the next 12 to 24 months? Do we have are we going to get out of this? Are we going to get better, or are we just going to stay in the same
You have
monotonous stupidity?
The government has to take a significant step back, let Americans decide for themselves on a lot of these issues. I chose 13 years ago to buy a Toyota Prius plug-in, right?
Okay.
I paid more money for it. I did get a tax credit, which I didn't need. But I bought it because, okay, let me take a step forward, do what I can. The car wasn't exactly comfortable. It's a great car, by the way.
Okay.
But it was too small for me, too small for the family. It's still going. My son now has it in Alabama. I was doing my part. You know, I come from a community that's the beach, right?
Yep.
So from the time I was 4 years old in the rowboat with the next door neighbor, we were always pulling stuff out of the water. We were always concerned about the environment. I'm a Republican, very concerned about the environment. And the environment and proceeding forward in life with technology and industry, we can coexist, folks. It doesn't have to be doomsday. The world is going to end tomorrow because nothing is perfect. And you know, this is big time discussion. Do you know where $13 trillion of lithium and cobalt and all these metals are that go into the computers, the phones, the electric batteries? You know where they are? In Afghanistan. Did you know that?
No.
$13 trillion estimate. And do you know who has 100% of the mining rights in Afghanistan for those minerals? You probably get this one.
Please.
400 miles away from the Afghani border, China.
I knew you were going there with that.
So, like, you know, us submitting to and the government saying end all the fossil fuels, end this. I'll tell you want to end fossil fuels, make a car that's safer, faster, more efficient, and less expensive, and you put the oil companies right at it. That's the American way.
They won't do it, but, you know,
not the government saying no more gas.
I realized that we're coming up to the end of time, but I wanted to ask you something because you did speak about the environment, and your area was one of the hardest hit areas during Superstorm Sandy. I think of obviously Breezy, I think of Garrison Beach, Marine Park, Sheepshead Bay, Manhattan Beach, and Staten Island, of course. So how has your community in the last 10 years recovered?
Before we go, I want to say goodbye and thank the audience from the
620 WSNR, 1640 WJPR, 93.5 FM WVIP.
Thank you for joining us, and Tom, I hope they enjoyed you, but we still keep going. We still got a whole bunch of more people still listening to us. Thank you, and you can still catch us on YouTube and Instagram and
just
Facebook.
Very quickly, how has your community recovered since Superstorm Sandy? I was very curious on that.
You know, we're blessed. Our community is exactly that, a community. Neighbors were more concerned about the elderly, more concerned about their parents, more concerned about their brothers and sisters, more concerned about their neighbors than themselves. And I can speak, that's for Breezy Point, Rockaway, Neponset, into Rockaway. That's how it was, and we're blessed to have that. And a lot of us have lived there peacefully coexisted with the environment. And, you know, we always knew the risk, right? You want to live near the water. Yeah. You pay, more for insurance. We were out of our home for 5 years. And I was in Afghanistan trying to rebuild. 5 years we were displaced. All 5 of my families, we lived in one bedroom in Levittown for 6 months, and then got my parents back into the house. And then my wife, 3 kids, 5 of us lived in a studio basement apartment for 5 years, and it was beautiful.
I love you.
We love each other. It was one bed after the other, and it was a beautiful, amazing thing.
What's the one thing you differ most on your opponent?
I differ most on my opponent?
What's the one thing you differ most on your opponent?
I have the conviction to stand up to not only my own party, but to truly do what it is right for the community. I have no interest, personal interest or gains out of this, except for to give back to my community. I left service after 30 years, and like I said, I don't feel entitled to it. It's up to the people.
As a soldier,
not the courts.
As a soldier, what do you think? What do you think about guns? The Second Amendment, against it, not against it. What's
So,
your deal?
great question, right? Before you take away my right, okay, I'm willing to give up my Second Amendment right for the next guy that's a big deal. That is a big deal for
Yes.
me to lose my
Yes.
Second Amendment right.
Especially you.
I'll give it up when the person that violates the law gets put away for the rest of their life for losing one of our rights.
And the parole
as
board,
Americans.
big joke.
So
about
let me explain this. 30 years in the military doesn't entitle me to anything, but I wanted to help veterans in a little place up in Vermont, right, to go shooting. So I personally, I'm not into the assault weapons, right?
Right.
But I did my last 2 years in Iowa. That's what they do on the weekend. They go out hunting. They go out shooting. It's excitement for them. Doesn't do it for me. But I do love the art of marksmanship. Okay, I don't go out and shoot turkeys like they do in Pennsylvania and then cook them. But that's what they do. That's what
That's
they
how do you
do.
get your dinner. I always people, how do you
So
get your dinner
here
on
in
the
New
table?
York City, just for everybody that, because I get this all the time. Oh, you want guns, 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 guns. I never broke a law in my life. A couple of parking tickets that I've fully paid.
Right.
That's it. Okay, folks. But I wanted to get an 1873 lever action, John Wayne, Jimmy Cagney, Red Ryder rifle. I cannot own it in New York City.
No.
So what gun control are you exactly talking about? A 30-year veteran, colonel, followed all the rules, all the laws, cannot own a weapon that is still manufactured the same design as 1873. So what exactly gun control? Enforce the laws in place. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
If I were to go up to Albany before any more new laws, right, you might as well make it 50 years. If you're not going to enforce the law, what's the sense?
I got you. Last minute, your legacy, what do you want it to be? What do you want it to say? What do you want people to remember about you?
I want somebody to say, oh my good, an honest politician with integrity, restore the image that our elected officials, only they can decide to bring that back, right? Soldiers are way up here in the 80% approval. We need to restore that for the police department, our civil service workers, hold them in high esteem. And the only way that you can do that is to serve the community, not enrich yourself. Be honest to the people when it's hard decisions. Say what's right, not what's politically convenient. And
SullivanForAssembly.com. Heshy Tischler.
That's what I would hope to
Before we
change.
go off, I just want you to know Canada, that idiot, what was it, the vice president?
The speaker of the House, right?
Who brought up that Nazi guy. I mean, what an idiot. And he didn't want to resign, but I'm so happy he resigned at the end.
I can't wait. I hope Trudeau is next.
I hope
You
Trudeau is next.
guys, did more research on me before me walking in here than they did bringing that person up there.
I know, right, exactly. Play the music.
Play the
Thank you,
music
everybody.
after
We'll
that.
see you next
God
weekend.
bless
Happy
everybody.
Sukkot.
Happy
Happy holidays. That's it.
God bless.